This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
You got a face to call home.
And welcome back to the show. We're talking about Opal by Element at the corner of King Ed and Cambie. This is a retirement in place. You can plan your life for... Well, you can't really plan what's going to happen, but you can make a plan
be proactive. Yes.
Make sure that you have all of the pieces in place. And we have Douglas Guest in studio talking about his personal experience with your father. And your mother, as doing the math here, is a bit younger than your dad, right?
Correct.
Your dad was 88, your mom's 72. So you're now looking at the years ahead for her. And so when you were trying to build a laneway house in the back of their property so you could live on the property, they could have their own space, and you could be around to help her, at what point did you start looking outside of that and to start saying to yourself, let's see if there's another solution?
Well, within that, the idea seemed really great. Spent a better part of a year talking with my mom about this is what we want to plan for going into the future. Starting to execute it, dealing with an architect, dealing with drawing up plans.
Did you get Candy's dad? He's a good architect.
I didn't. I wish I had known some of this beforehand. In fact, I mean, it was going along. It took a lot of time and energy, and then there was also the emotional side that starts to kick up of, if I am moving into the house for myself personally, this is a role I am taking on full time. And as you say, being a sandwich generation, then I am actually actively taking care of my mom at the same time as my kids and trying to have a relationship with my wife.
Yeah, and that's a lot of stress on your spouse because, blood is thicker than water, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're dealing with your family, and at a certain time your wife says, okay, time out, we need time just for our family, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And so we were feeling some of that stress and anxiety, and all of this was happening as my dad's health started to go downhill. He passed away in the middle of it. And we sort of took a moment to stop and pause and go, how much do we want to push for this when there's still uncertainty? Should we look at some other options? And that's where I suddenly came across Opal.
And how did you find Opal? What did you, and was it like a light bulb moment when you go, aha, this is what I've been looking for?
Well, my personal background, I have worked in the life insurance industry for a lot of years, really took a passion towards long-term care planning and knowing the conversation and the risk of dementia, partially because it was very real to me with the situation with my father. And I'd known that you really need to be planning ahead on some of this stuff. And so when I first came across Opal, it was searching for a situation to try and solve for my dad to know, is there a backup if we can't do this at home? And I came across Opal and realized that they had everything in place. The possibility to go, he can be there if he needs the extra complex care. That's available. There's the ability to cater the care to support him for exactly where he's at as he goes. Or in this case, as I look towards my mom and we took the pause and said, you know what, maybe we should look for a better support. That's the situation with my mom. We looked at this and I had done a checklist with my mother when we were building the laneway. What are all the goals we want to achieve? What are the things that are important to you? And she said, I want to have family around. I want to have my own space. I don't need all of the space of a large house, but I want to have my own space. I want to be able to cook, have a nice kitchen and be able to cook meals and enjoy the meals, have people over. I want to be able to paint, make sure there's an artist studio space in there so I can paint and do art. I love music. I want to be able to have space to play my music and all this. And as I was looking at Opal again and suddenly looking at what they're offering, I realized the lists matched and in fact was able to build something that was better in place than what we were trying to do, being able to go to Opal. And the beauty of it is, for me, the light bulb that went on is at home with my father, when we hit the edge of how far we could take our care and support him with in-home caregivers, there's a limit of how far you can go when someone gets really close to the end. We hit a point of anxiety and stress of what are we going to do? And it changed the whole relationship there. Whereas at Opal, what I saw was it's a space for my mother to go into, have her independent space so she can be able to live
fully and happily.
Live fully, happily, do her own thing. If it is a point where she needs some assistance, we can build in that assistance. And if she's at a point that suddenly she needs care, instead of us panicking, trying to figure out what to do
next,
before, in Opal, she can live independently until suddenly she's not able to, and it's right there. There's the ability to kind of up the care and get into complex care and be able to stay in one place.
And even the complex care is a beautiful residential setting. Yeah. And then the importance of continuity, too, of relationships that are built within that community, of the staff that she already knows, that she's not readapting.
Especially when you're getting older and older. I mean, you might be you could be frightened. I'm sure you had that with your father.
Yes.
You're frightened. You don't know. You want to see familiar faces. And Candy, that's what you're saying, is there's going to be the same people there, right?
Yes.
Same group of care, and you're going to have familiar faces, and that's comforting.
Yes, that's exactly. Yeah.
So, now, your mom has been living, as I think you said, 1960 in the same home, right?
Correct,
I mean, it's a beautiful neighborhood. We all know that. And so was there any resistance giving that up, or was there relief knowing I don't have to maintain this anymore?
There was a little of both. Like she was saying, I want to keep my life, but because we'd gone through a lot of the steps to figure out what are the things she really wanted, the experiences she wanted to have, especially now that she's no longer my father's caregiver, and being able to see all of this and stay in the neighborhood and still have all the familiar surroundings, she was excited. And going into new space, I can call my own, but it still has a lot of the same familiarity of what I'm used to, the same neighborhood, I'm going to the same grocery stores, the same coffee shops, because they live just 7 blocks up the road.
But there's no hesitance about giving up the family
up a
home.
house.
Because this is going to be the new family home.
Yes, no, exactly. And initially when the thought of a nursing home, there was a lot of resistance. But here, because it was easy to see this as my new home, the place that I will enjoy, and we got one of the 2-bedroom units, so family can come and stay. I'm one of 5 kids. Everyone's married, has 2 kids or more. And they all live in different cities. So the ability to have them come and be able to still stay with mom and be able to have family and have those
with your second bedroom that has a walk-in closet.
So you are the only sibling in Vancouver?
Correct.
Well, that's a lot of pressure on you.
Yes. And so that's why for me this has actually been a great relief to know that mom's in the place, that she's getting exactly what she wants from everything we were trying to do with the laneway. She's able to stay in the neighborhood, and I also know she's taken care of, so I can...
Is it a big relief for your brothers and sisters to know that, I mean, it's a lot off their plate, too, because there's a bit of guilt that you're on the front line dealing with this day, and they're off living their own life, right?
Yes. No, I mean, there's guilt that goes on within the family that comes that way, and there's, in some respects, I've always put family first. I had put the focus of trying to help my parents as I see them aging and their situation becoming tenuous. I'm stepping into it, but then there's also the anxiety for me going with it of how do I balance everything and how am I there, and my other siblings. Like when people are away, sometimes they can believe there's a certain situation at home.
Yeah. So in their mind, they can compartmentalize it. This is dealt with. They put it in a box, right?
Yep.
You're there.
Right,
you're helping. Right. But you're seeing the changes every day.
Yes, exactly.
And then you have to sacrifice a lot in your life to care for this family that you love so much. But of course, there's a lot in your life that you need to balance to be kind of human, right? Just the survival mode almost kicks in.
Well, and there's only so many hours in a day to do everything.
Yes.
And what I was starting to realize over the last, particularly last 6 months, going by my parents' house, it was putting out fires, helping fix something, doing something. And I suddenly realized as I was doing that, I was seeing my parents and my mother a lot, but we weren't going for as many dinners and not having the time to enjoy. That's
exactly what my vision is here, that, you know, my mom and dad, they're going to be taken care of. My dad's still super healthy and vibrant, but my mom does have challenges. And for me, like, I've run out of meetings to save my mom, and generally she's good, but when she's not good, it's sudden. And that is a lot of anxiety. And she feels like she's burdening me, taking away away from responsibilities of work, which she thinks is important to me because she knows how much sense of purpose and reward I get out of making a difference. She doesn't want to pull me away, and she feels bad when she has to. So this whole place is built so that, like, we go in, and my mom and dad and our family, instead of going in to take care, and then she feels bad about us taking care, she's actually getting professional care. But in the meantime, we are all having these great experiences, and everything that you talk about is so touching to me, because that's the whole point for me, to build a place that has something for every person's needs and desires and personalities. And
I could see, you going by to see your mom and dad, and they've got a big house, big lot, and your mom says, "Oh, by the way, because you're here, can you look at this? Can you fix that?"
Yes.
And you're not actually spending time talking and connecting. You're like you said, putting out fires.
Correct. That
it's
was
freeing all the duties, all the chores, all of the care needs to somebody else that's us, and you guys just go and have a good time. And I know a lot of families unfortunately don't have the greatest dynamics, but honestly, and I see it now, it's so beautiful. It's not that people don't care about their family, they're just so stressed out because everybody has a lot to handle, and you can't just give up everything in your life to make it function to take care of somebody else, and you feel like, where is my life? And that's just human, right?
Well, Douglas is a perfect example of that. You've got a career, you have to work, you need to make money to look after your family. Your parents have their own thing going on, but you're pulled in all these different directions. So
we're trying to create the opportunity for better family dynamics. For the families who don't have it yet, it can get better because of what we're doing. It can be better than home. Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're talking with Candy Ho, who's the Director and Vice President of Marketing and Corporate Relations at Opal by Element. And Douglas Guest is our guest in studio, talking about his situation with his family and why the family chose to put his mother and parents-in-law in Opal by Element. We'll pick up on that conversation and how they got excited about it.
Yes.
Next on CL 650.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CL 650.